Sure, you've heard of Veronica Micle, Mihai Eminescu's friend, but do you know about the physicist Ștefan Micle, Veronica Micle's husband, Ștefan Micle? He was a poor man from Felek, a hard worker, who worked in Cluj as a lathe apprentice to support himself and continue his studies. In 1848, he joined Avram Iancu's army and took part in the revolutionary movement. He graduated from the Polytechnic School in Vineran and became a university professor in Iași, where he took over the chair of the first professor to write a physics textbook in Romanian, Teodor Stamati. Ștefan Micle held courses for the general public in Iași, became the rector of the university, and at the peak of his career, he was 48 years old. He married a young, beautiful, intelligent girl in an arrangement set up by the girl's mother. There was no way he could have known that his young wife, who became a student in Vienna, would meet our great poet, Ștefan Micle. He largely ignored the anonymous letters that reported a secret meeting between the two lovers from Iași. Nowhere in the memories about him is there any reference to his wife's love story. Here's a quote about Ștefan Micle from Victor Marian's Figures of Great Romanian Physicists. In the same year, 1858, he was the first to hold public lectures in Iași on electricity and optics, with such success that the large round hall and the two side halls at the academy were not enough to accommodate all the audience, especially from the elite society of Iași. To him, not to the Junimea society, must be recognized the priority of public lectures in Iași. Here you see the first research articles in physics written by a Romanian. You notice that his name is Emanuel Bacaloglu. This happened in the 1860s, and it's true, his name betrays his origin. His parents came from Greece and Turkey. Emanuel Bacaloglu actively participated in the 1848 revolution in Wallachia, together with his brother. He gave private lessons and at the same time saved money for studies abroad. In 1856, he left for the University of Leipzig and then to Paris. He attended courses with August Ferdinand Mobius, Harry Becherel, and Jean-Baptiste Biot. He then returned to the country and was appointed professor of physics at the Faculty of Science of the University of Bucharest in 1864. Dedicating himself to physics, which at that time was more focused on its experimental aspects, in 1870. He published Elements of Physics, the first university physics textbook in the Romanian country. Bacaloglu insisted on using the term iuțeală instead of speed and also mentioned the new electric motors in his works. He was not always concerned with the practical applicability of science. In his book, Bacaloglu said that the new electric motors have little practical interest because of the Slavic effect and the high maintenance cost. Who could have predicted at that time the appearance of electric cars over 100 years later? Bacaloglu was also a remarkable mathematician, developing a new formula in the study of capillary phenomena known as Bacaloglu's curvature. And he was the first Romanian to publish scientific articles in physics, starting in 1859. His scientific articles, the first written by a Romanian in international specialty journals, covered various subjects such as mechanics, optics, and electricity. Here is how Bacaloglu described his request to hold a free advanced mathematics course in the university building. I offered to do it on Sundays and holidays. Therefore, I kindly ask you to grant permission to hold this optional and free course, ordering, where appropriate, that one of the Academy's rooms be made available for this course. On Sundays and holidays, starting at 10 o'clock in the morning. Of course, you don't know who he is. The first Romanian doctor in physics, his name is Dimitri Negranu, and in 1880 he obtained his degree in physics from the University of Bucharest. He then became a teacher at the National High School in Iași, at the Cathedral of Ștefan Micle, the husband of the much more famous Veronica Micle. In 1982, he began a doctorate at the Sorbonne under the guidance of Professor Gabriel Lippmann, who received the Nobel Prize in 1908 for color photography. In 1889, he became the first Romanian with a doctorate in physics with a thesis on etherification and electrical conductivity. After returning home, Dimitri Negranu became head of the Department of Heat and Electricity at the University of Bucharest. He studied the dielectric constants of certain liquids and their variation with temperature, and measured the specific heat and expansion coefficient of materials. In addition to this, he published many high school textbooks: physics concepts for the 3rd grade, concepts of electricity, gravity for the 6th grade, electricity and optics for the 7th grade, as well as university courses such as static electricity in 1907 and gravity in 1908. We live in a world of the internet, but the internet we see today is seen differently from today, the inhabitants of this planet. When I want to travel virtually and I'm curious about how the world looks in those countries, I use a VPN. Surfshark is a VPN that gives you access to online streaming platforms such as movies.com, Azoni, and others. Surfshark hides your IP address and thus ensures your virtual privacy. When browsing the internet, you can search for plane tickets, hotel rooms, and rental cars at lower prices. This comes with a minimalist and user-friendly app design. Surfshark has substantially reduced prices this month for the holidays, and this offer won't be available again soon. With the Surfshark Alert service, you can receive alerts and benefit from real-time protection, while Surfshark Antivirus helps keep your device virus-free, lets you perform quick or full scans of your device, benefit from real-time protection, and schedule scans. The discount offered by Surfshark.com Presura this month is a unique holiday offer. Get 4 extra months free with your Surfshark subscription at a very favorable price. In 1990, Romania had 5 physicists. Does that seem like a small number to you? Spain had 13, Japan had 11. At a time when the country with the most physicists, Germany, had almost 200, Constantin Mikulesku was one of them. He came from a poor peasant family and was only able to attend high school because he was helped by a relative. His talent was recognized by Professor Emanuel Bacaloglu, who sent him to study at the prestigious Sorbonne in Paris. There, surrounded by a stimulating academic environment and renowned colleagues such as Marie Curie and Henri Poincaré, Mikulesku took his research seriously. In 1891, they obtained the title of Doctor of Science under Professor Gabriel Liebman for his thesis on determining the mechanical equivalent of the calorie. The device created by Mikulesku, which you see here, although similar to that of James Presco Joule, it was much improved. Joule heated the water in a container using paddles set in motion by the fall of 2 weights through a pulley system. For better temperature control, Mikulesku replaced the stagnant water container with a regular water container. After returning to Romania, Mikulesku became a professor at the University of Bucharest in 1894, dedicating himself to teaching and research in the field of optics. Do you know who was the first to earn a Doctor of Philosophy in Physics in Romania? It happened in 1912. Dimitri Bungețianu was the 11th child of a priest's family and started theological seminary, but soon left it, being drawn to the exact sciences. In 1984, he earned his degree from the Faculty of Sciences in Iași, and then he was sent abroad by the Ministry of Agriculture to study meteorology. In 1996, he obtained his science degree in Paris, and in 1911 he took over the chair of gravitation, heat and electricity at the University of Bucharest. A year later, at the same university, he earned his doctorate with a thesis on the acoustic resonance of liquids and the speed of sound. In his doctoral thesis, he also obtained several empirical relationships based on which he estimated the speed of sound in an infinite fluid. This was after, in 1907, he conducted experiments to determine the speed of sound at the Filaret station. That is why today, Dimitri Bungețianu is considered the father of acoustics in Romania. Do you know who founded the first radio broadcasting station in Romania? Physicist Dragomir Hurmuzescu, born in 1965. Dragomir Hurmuzescu is definitely a candidate for the title of the greatest experimental physicist in Romania. In 1987, he graduated from the Faculty of Sciences at the University of Bucharest and continued his studies in Paris, where he became the top of his class and pursued a doctorate under the guidance of Gabriel Liebman, Nobel Prize laureate in physics, for the discovery of color photography. In his doctoral thesis, Hurmuzescu determined, in the laboratory, by an indirect method, the speed of light in experiments. He uses an electroscope to measure the charge in order to achieve better measurements, improving the performance of the electroscope by producing a new type of electrical insulator based on sulfur and paraffin, which he calls dielectrin. This material is not only a good insulator, but also has good mechanical hardness, making it ideal for building other components of laboratory devices as well. Hurmuzescu licensed the right to use dielectrin to the company Arvelinat Chabot, which produced and sold experimental devices in the field of electricity. The name Hurmuzescu is well known in electrostatics, and the new Hurmuzescu equipment is present in most major laboratories around the world, as can be seen here in an announcement from the New York Times. We continue his story. While he was still studying in France, another physicist, Wilhelm Röntgen, discovered X-rays together with his colleague Louis Pennuist. Dragomir Hurmuzescu takes advantage of the opportunity and studies the effect of X-rays on a charged electroscope. The experiment demonstrates that X-rays ionize the air. Here, we see his experiment. On the left, there is a cathode tube that generates X-rays on the table. On the right, there is an electroscope which we recognize by the two leaves that repel each other. When the electroscope is charged with electric charge, the X-rays coming out of the cathode tube ionize the air inside the electroscope, and thus, the leaves will repel each other. This is how Dragomir Hurmuzescu was the first to show that X-rays are ionizing. This is why we avoid X-rays, because they can cause cancer. Hurmuzescu didn't stop here. He first returned to her and then to Bucharest, where he founded the Electrotechnical Institute with very practical applications: material resistance, electric machines, radio-electric communication. It was the era of great inventors. In Bucharest, he established the first radio broadcasting station in Romania on November 1, 1928. The first words were heard traveling through the airwaves. "Hello, hello, this is Radio Bucharest, Romania." Thank you for watching the video until the end, and thanks to the people at Surfshark for sponsoring it. Happy holidays! Get 4 extra months free with your Surfshark subscription at a very favorable price. Until next time. I'm Christian Presura. You are cool and I wish you all the best. Goodbye.